Welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to show two games, or in one case mainly one position from the currently running Masters final played in the second leg will be played in Bilbao, and the first one is now being played in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So they switch locations in the middle of the tournament. We've got 6 players competing here. Very top field with world number 1 Magnus Carlsen playing, world number 2 Caruana and Aronian, and of course world champion Vichy Arnand. And the 3 additional players are not bad as well. We've got Sergei Karyakin, Fabiano Caruana, and Francisco Vallejo Pons. And after 4 rounds, it looks that Caruana is running away with this. He's on +3, 3 wins and a draw, which adds up to a 3,100 rating performance. And here you can clearly see that the first game of a tournament really sets the tone, as Caruana had a lost position in the first round against Carlsen, in which Carlsen made very costly miscalculation and lost the game even. And after that, Caruana is just winning every game besides one draw against Arnott. And in this game he was also better. I mean, not winning, but he was pressing in this game. So if Caruana can somehow keep this pace, he'll certainly this would certainly mark his breakthrough as a clear world championship candidate. If that's not the case already. Alright, so let's have a look at the 4th round here. And the first game I'm going to show you, but only quickly in the beginning, because it's just one specific position that's of interest, is between world number 1 and world number 2, Carlsen and Aronian. So let's go through this quickly. Carlsen playing 1e4, and we get the Berlin defense, and Carlsen doesn't opt for the end game with castles, so no Berlin wall end game. This very topical end game.
Check.
That both players play with both colors. No interest this time. He played d3 to get a more full-blooded fight. Okay, bishop c5, and now takes on c6. This leads to a very well-known pawn structure. This can also arise from the exchange variation. One difference is that in the exchange, white very often goes for d4 at one point to exchange those pawns and then get this 4 against 3 majority. So the position opens up, and it often gets rather technical. In this kind of setup though, with knight d2 here, white wants to keep the central pawns and play for f4 at some point, or maybe with pieces, knight to h4 to f5, stuff like that. So it's a rather closed position. By the way, white cannot take here because of this idea, or in this case even this is possible, threatening mate and the knight. All right, so but I don't want to show too much about this part of the game. It's rather normal here. Black just hacks this knight off, and now has a very solid position in the center. g3 is an interesting move that surprised me a bit, to play g3 without a light square bishop, but white simply wants to go knight h4, and black preempts that with playing f5 himself. This is an interesting decision, and one that is difficult for lots of players, because look at this structure. White now will get this nice square on e4. We'll see what happens. Queen e2, and white now has this knight e4 idea. Let's continue. So white managed to get this knight to this dream square on e4, where it is impossible to dislodge. I mean, there's no pawn that can attack it. But as compensation, if you look at the position, black has got enormous pressure on the f-file. So he's got got something in return. And this is always difficult to assess. And the better you are as a player, the more accurate your evaluation becomes of those factors. It's a little bit like the old Bobby Fischer saying, in order to get squares, you need to give squares. Here, Aronian gave away the e4 square, but okay, he didn't get a specific square, maybe f3 if you want, but he got some piece activity, so he got something in return. And this is really a trademark of a strong player, that you can assess correctly those kind of exchanges. You get something and you give something. So I think this position is around equal. Now h5, getting the queen back, and white got rid of his a-pawn and maybe has some ideas at some point on the a-file. But you see that black has some play on the king side, so it's not easy for white to make any kind of progress. Queen d1, queen h3. So yeah, now we have the position I was talking about, the interesting point of the game. Here Carlsen played, and you can see the times are fairly accurate. He had lots of time on the clock. He played bishop f4. So attacking the rook and breaking the connection between the two pieces. So the rook is hanging. But still, it's a move that strikes you as something weird. It's a bit weird, I don't know. And in this position, Aronian, with 12 minutes on the clock, played the move after 2 minutes, bishop c3. Okay, let's return here. And you can maybe look at this position as some sort of tactical puzzle. Give yourself a bit of time and try to find something for black here. I'll pause this for a couple of seconds and be quiet so that you can pause the video. Alright, yeah, in this position, Aronian could simply win the game with the rook takes f4 here. And white simply resigns. There's nothing else than taking. Knight takes, yeah, and then black threatening queen g2 check. And okay, you might say, oh, rook g1, yeah, I'm covering this. But then here's the point.
Check.
Queen f2, king f2, rook h3.
Mate.
So nice mate out of the, yeah, not out of the blue, but still a bit surprising that it's possible. I think it's very weird that Aronian didn't see this, because it's, for players of this level, I think it's a matter of seconds to see this. I mean, it's not want to show off here, but I saw it after a couple of seconds also. I have no idea what he was doing. Maybe, at least I saw the idea. I think he must have saw the idea as well, but maybe saw some kind of ghost. I'm not sure. One possibility is, if you look at this position, knight takes, maybe rook a8 was irritating him. This is a possibility, because at first you might think, okay, you need to go here, and then you've got knight g5 coming. And then, well, the queen, or after this, it's just the same. But there's, there's simply this move, and white resigns. Again, it's just the same. I don't know, he must have overlooked something here, because the fun thing is, if you look at the game, in the game, he played the weird-looking move bishop to c3, and Carlsen responded with queen takes rook. Yeah, okay. But what would happen after knight takes c3? The only move that black can play now that keeps him in the game even is rook takes f4, with the same kind of idea. So I think he saw the idea, but somehow believed that knight g5 was the problem. Here the knight is on c3, so this is not an idea at all. And if white would check now, you simply move the king, and there's no check. And we have the same mate coming. Of course, white doesn't need to take on c3, but he saw the idea, but he must have, I don't know, something must have confused him. So we have the very rare occurrence of a double blunder. Bishop f4 just loses the game. and bishop c3 doesn't win the game. Rook takes f4 would have won. And now Carlsen can actually save himself. He takes us on f3. Bishop takes here. Queen g2, and it's a bit tactical, but at the end we have just a similar position to the one before, only with one rook exchanged. And it's very difficult to make any progress for both sides, so I'll go through the rest rather quickly. There wasn't much happening really. Yeah, rooks got off, and now we have more exchanges.
Check, 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 check.
Yeah, and a perpetual at the end. Black is just too active, attacking all the pawns, so white must take the perpetual. Would be interesting to know if the players realized during the game what what they had overlooked there. Both had overlooked. It's really really funny. I mean, it's very, very rare that those kind of players overlook rather easy tactics. It's really nothing special for them to spot this. Yeah, okay, so now we'll have a look at the game that Caruana played yesterday. I'm afraid I need to butcher up the video a little bit. I'm sorry. Caruana, and sorry for this. We didn't get seasick by the board movements. So now we have Caruana against Vallejo. I hope I pronounced this halfway correctly. And we have 1 e4. Caruana played e4 in this tournament, as he usually does. And we got a French. In the first round, Carlsen also played the French as a little bit of a surprise. And there Caruana played knight c3, and we got actually a winner of a French. Here, Caruana deviated with e5. I think he usually doesn't play this. So maybe a bit of a surprise for the Spanish player. Knight f3, queen b6. So queen b6 is the old main line of the advanced French. Bishop b7 is a very decent alternative, which during the times that I still played the French, I always played. I like this move more. But queen b6 is of course perfectly alright. White played a3. This is nowadays the only move that is believed to pose black any problems. Idea is to go b4 at some point and relieve the pressure on b2. It also covers the b4 square, which can be rather useful. For example, if you look at bishop e2, there are sometimes ideas for black to get this check in, and this can be irritating. Not in exactly this position, but it can be irritating. So a3 is a good move. And Vallejo played knight to h6 here. In the recently finished Russian championships, there was a fun game between Peter Svidler and Vityugov, where Vityugov played knight g to e7. I covered this game a couple of weeks ago. If you're interested, look in the channel for Svidler and Vityugov, a great tactical battle after the knight e7. Okay, knight h6 was played, and b4 exchanges, and knight f5. So black has got everything set on the d4 pawn, queen also. So white needs to cover this, bishop to e3. There's also bishop b2 possible. Okay, black played bishop d7, bishop d3. Yeah, and now white might intend to take, so black felt inclined to take on e3. Yeah, here black has a couple of alternatives. I think maybe the most mostly played move here is, if I'm not mistaken, bishop e7. Let me quickly check this. I don't want to tell you any nonsense. Yeah, rook c8 or bishop e7 are the main moves. Vallejo here, or Vallejo, whatever, Paco, is usually called Paco by his colleagues, played g6. Yeah, come on, g6 was played, which is interesting. I mean, one idea can be bishop to g7 and then play f6. but it also blunts this diagonal a bit. Maybe even bishop h6 can be an idea to attack e3. So not bad, but one thing, you really weaken those squares. You need to be really cautious now about the f6 and h6 square. Yeah, here, very interesting, the Caruana plays knight c3, and it's really interesting. If this was, what is this? Is this a planned sacrifice, a planned some kind of preparation, or it is a blunder? Because what black is now able to do is, and Vallejo played this, he just took on b4. And yeah, bit of a shock. A takes b, bishop b4, and now white is in a pit, and it's really difficult to get out of this. If white would try to yeah, somehow cover all this, black has rook c8 to increase the pressure. Let's just say queen d2, this is really bad, rook c8, rook c1, and queen a5. And yeah, what are you doing? You'll lose this this back for nothing in particular, I guess. So it's really interesting. Maybe this was all planned, but this could also be yeah, just a blunder, which at the end turned out to be perfectly alright. Because this is the fun thing. Look what happened. Black took on b4, and now simply castles. Okay, black has no choice. He needs to grab the knight now, otherwise it would simply move away. Black grabbed the knight, and rook to c1, attacking the bishop. Yeah, so what about this position? Black has sacrificed 2 pawns, the whole queen side, but he got something in return. This bishop on c3 is absolutely far away from here, where it actually would belong, to cover both squares on f6 and h6. So it can get to really difficult and difficult to defend and dangerous attack. So let's see what happened. Rook c8 was played now, and here black had an alternative. It's very difficult to say if this is what would have been better. Black immediately could play bishop to b4 with the idea to get this bishop back for defense. A possible line, just to show what's possible: knight g5, attacking f7. Yeah, here black, for example, could play bishop e7, which is an interesting idea. The idea being, if knight f7, you can simply castle, return 1 pawn, and try to yeah, consolidate. It's not at all clear, this position. Let's say something like rook b1, queen c7, and queen f3. I'm really not sure what this position is. It's rather difficult. Only really long analysis can tell what's going on. Bishop e7 is one idea. Black also could consider just castling in this position, after which white has more than one interesting attacking possibility. Of course, he can go with something like this, but I find this move interesting, trying to block off this point on f6, so that if black plays bishop e7, you can simply ignore it in most cases. And this has a pretty strong threat. Let's say bishop e7, just for example, then white can sacrifice here on h7, and I think white has got an attack that is probably not possible to defend against. This is losing in very simple fashion, with a big fork and white having an extra piece plus the attack, so it's terrible, cannot take. And of course you cannot take here. This is, oops, what's happened here? Bishop e7, oops, bishop e7. You cannot take on h7 at all, because queen h5 will get you mated very quickly.
Checkmate.
So this is the idea behind the sacrifice. Yeah, and if black cannot take on f6 and not take on h7, then you know he's in trouble. So bishop b4 can also just here. this bishop b4 move is maybe better, hard to tell, but white has a dangerous attack in any case. At least he's got compensation for the 2 pawns, which is really funny, I think, that you can sacrifice those 2 pawns, but it's a very weak side with those weaknesses on g6 and h6. Okay, played rook c8, and here the first normal move, knight g5, is obvious and castled. So how should white continue now? I think here actually this queen g4 move that Caruana played, he played this all very quickly. Maybe this is really preparation. Funny, it would be really funny, because g6 is really a rare move. Okay, but here he had a good alternative. He just spent 2 minutes here, amazingly. He had a good alternative here, and this is rook b1. Would be interesting, just to attack the queen here. And what should black play now? If black goes queen d8, just for example, then there's this rook f6 idea again. And this is straight away lost for black, really, because this rook now prevents black from ever retreating the bishop and helping in defense. And black simply will get completely murdered here. I don't know what black should do even. White just goes here, and then crashes through. Let's say, I don't know, queen e7, just to put something on the board. And then, yeah, it doesn't matter really. Also can go here. Something, just something like this. h5, and now, yeah, whatever. There's multiple wins, I guess. Maybe even here, with the threats now to take on g6, on e6, play g4. I mean, what kind of position is this? Everything's on the king, and this piece simply doesn't help. So rook b1, moving the queen is isn't doing much good. If you go here, you set yourself into a pin, and it's still rook f6 and knight h7 to come. Yeah, I think black is probably simply lost after rook b1. I think there's no playable defense anymore. In the game, after he went queen g4, and very quickly, only spent 2 minutes on this, black actually has a chance to save himself. And the first couple of moves are also played by black here. Queen h3, threatening mate here. So h5, also covering e3. So white exchanged now. And queen f3. So attack on f7. Yeah, and here black only has exactly 1 playable move, but this is playable and fine for him. He can play queen to c7 now, just covering this. Of course, the issue is this move. But here black has a way to save himself. He can take
check
with check, so white must react. Take here. And yeah, black still is 2 pawns up, by the way. It's still a pretty big material advantage. Here white has tries, of course. Maybe rook f6 is an interesting move, after which black shouldn't take, probably. This pawn is getting very dangerous. But it's not necessary to take. You can just play here. And let's say white tries to increase the pressure. You go queen e7, and yeah, that's it. Black is perfectly fine here. One funny point is queen knight to h7, and yeah, of course black cannot take because f8 is saying, but you can just go here, and it's a rather funny perpetual. Of course, there are still ideas. Yeah, white can maybe play a move like here, and it continues. But this is what black had to try. It's simply the only move playable, this queen to c7 on move 20. We can go back. I'm not saying that maybe white would have won also after queen c7, but he simply must play this. There's no other move. He played rook queen to d8, after which white simply takes, and now black can resign. It's just over. Everything's falling apart. And what should black do? He took on e3, which white simply ignored. Of course, taking here, rook takes is not the best. It's questionable now if you get more than compensation for the 2 pawns. But you can simply play king h1. I mean, just ignore this and threaten bishop g6, and black has no way to keep all his pieces together. Played queen h4, bishop to g6, and yeah, this piece is hanging. What should you do? Went to g5, and now the final, not too difficult stroke is bishop h7 check. Quite nice. If black ignores the bishop, plays here, you simply go to d3 and queen g6 is curtains. And if black takes it, he resigned actually after bishop h7. If black takes it, there's knight take g5, and after this rook f7 is also coming. So black will probably get mated in a couple of moves. Didn't analyze, but it's winning in any case. Yeah, nice attacking game here by Caruana, but he really, I wonder about a couple of things. I mean, why did he play this move so quickly after 2 minutes? Rook b1 is really the far better move. Of course, it's easy to tell afterwards with computer and so on, but you got like more than 40 extra minutes here on the black player, and you can at least invest a couple of minutes to check out the lines, especially if you look at this position. White's got everything on the king. I mean, it's really a position where you're trying to look for forced mates. At least I would try to look for forced mates, and I would really invest like 10 minutes or so to really figure out how to kill black now. And I wonder why he played so quickly. All right, so a very interesting game, and also you had yeah, this double blunder by Carlsen and Aronian, very unusual. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this brief coverage of the Sao Paulo Bilbao tournament. I might return to this tournament if I find something interesting to present, but I don't want to make this a kind of daily feature now. It's a bit much to cover each round. But if I find something interesting, there'll be additional videos, of course. Yeah, thanks, and talk to you soon.